Hello, Ron Bashar here. In this video, I want to talk to you about some sort of, I don't want to say bug, but happening. Something that happens sometimes and you can miss it and it can be very frustrating. You'll realize it on later. I'm talking about your meta skills turning themselves off, right? Take a look at this. So with this build, if you have followed my previous videos, I have to have 440 spirit, right? And as you can see, two of my thingies have turned themselves off, right? So I did it this time on purpose, but it can happen sometimes. So you change out some skills. For example, you change out your Edonias, something happens, right? And this stuff turns themselves off. And if you don't pay attention, you might not realize that, and it can cause a huge problem, right? Cast on elemental ailment can turn itself off. Cast on critical can turn itself off. So, the way that you ensure that this doesn't happen is do not change out gear, right? And to prevent it from harming you, take a look at your spirit every once and then. If you have changed out gear, it has to be on the number that you are used to, rather than having a lot of spirit not used. So the way to overcome this is, so you click on this pop-up thingy, right? So my cast on critical cast 2 comets, right? As you can see, it did some stupidity with this. So you turn it on here and you turn it on here. And did it work now? As you can see, it's a little bit weird. Yeah, I mean, you mess around with it a little bit and it does turn on. Yeah. So I managed to turn the cast on critical on. Now on to the cast on element. Again, I do this pop-up thingy, right? It has done some weird shenanigans. I turn it on here. I turn the base thing on, and it's working. So yeah, that's how you overcome it. So the problem with this is that you can actually miss this, right? I mean, both of them turning off at the same time, maybe you don't, but one of them turns off because it happened to me. Like, I have 90 spirit, and that happened some time later, right? I don't know how long I played with without cast on critical, but the builds that utilize cast on critical is the core to their build. Cast on element for me is useful and it helps, but cast on critical is the main thing. So if that's turned off, you are going to suffer quite a bit. So, and this happens when you change some gear pieces. For example, you have 2 Adonias, or you upgrade your gear, and when you're doing that, it turns off some of the skills for some of the meta skills, right? And when that happens, they can turn themselves off. So for example, guys, if cast on critical turns off, so let's say you use the comets and the cast on critical with weapon set 1 only, right? And when you're taking out gear, that turns off. That means cast on critical is not getting used anywhere, so it's gonna turn itself off, right? That's the problem. So in order to prevent that, you have to go here, you have to open the pop-up here, and you have to take a look if everything is all right. So if you are going to use it with weapon set 1 only, you can just do that. It shouldn't turn itself off now, right? It didn't. Okay. So cast on elemental ailment. Again, I'm going to use it with weapon set 1 only. Okay. So these are the skills that the meta skill cast, and it's fine, right? That's what I wanted. I want to use them with weapon set 1 only, right? So, let me try to reproduce it actually. I should have some Adonias for sale somewhere. Okay, that's the income. Yes, okay. So, let me put it on and off. Nope, it didn't do anything. But, take my word for it, it can happen, and it is mighty annoying when it happens. Nope, didn't bug. Well, maybe it's not a bug, but yeah. So when you are changing gear, it can happen. When it does, your meta skill. So for example, take a look at this, guys. Normally I'm using Pinnacle of Power in the first slot and Power Siphon in the third slot, right? But take a look at this. They have interchange. So this does some stuff, right? And sometimes, I don't know what the exact condition is, it turns your meta skills off. So the way to go about it is, as I said, open this pop up here, and take a look at all the skills that it casts. So these are the supports, right? These don't really matter, but the skills that it casts should be on the right weapon set, or on both sets, and also the skill as well. And fiddle around a little bit with it here, and it will turn back on, hopefully. Yeah. So I'm doing this video to correct the situation if you have this, and some people might not be aware of this situation. Maybe you have been playing without cast on critical for days, right? If you don't pay attention, you'll miss it, right? I mean, you will feel like the character is underperforming, but you have no reason, right? You have just changed out some gear, and there is no reason for the cast on critical to be turned off. But yeah, it does turn itself off. So yeah, that's about it for this video, guys, and I'll see you in another. Bye bye.